So I want to ask you a question. Why is it that we don't get heart cancer? Think about this for a second. You just never hear about heart cancer. Well, here's a possible explanation. Heart cells have a voltage of somewhere around 120 millivolts. Now this is almost twice of that of our normal healthy cells. So there's a strong connection here between, or could there be a connection between health and voltage? So here's something very important. Pulse magnetic fields of the Earth in the range that we were talking about acts like a whole body battery charger by charging all 70 trillion of your cells. Now, though we cannot charge the cells as high as the heart, there are ways using Earth-based frequency devices to get the cells charged back up again. In fact, just going outside and walking barefoot helps to get the cells charged back up, because you're connected to the Earth at your feet. There's a lot of nerve endings in your feet. So now PEMF from the Earth, these Earth frequencies that the Earth emits, acts like a spark or ignition or an impulse that keeps the cells charged at an ideal voltage. And I won't get into the details of how this happens, but basically the cell membrane can act like a one-way rectifier, converting the AC frequencies of the Earth into a DC current. And this current then creates the energy voltage across the cell membrane. And it's what improves the sodium-potassium pump, ATP production, oxygenation, nutrient absorption, waste removal, etc. So the voltage of the cell is one of the key factors of how much health and energy your body is going to have. Now, a sick cell loses energy, and in those cases there's not going to be enough ATP, because when the voltage drops, your sodium-potassium pump is not going to be able to pump in oxygen and nutrients and pump out waste. And when this happens, you end up getting into a fermentation cycle. And fermentation is basically respiration without oxygen, which produces lactic acid. And this is one of the possible explanations of why people with cancer are very acidic, is because they're not getting the oxygenation, the nutrients, because of the lack of voltage or energy. So in those cases, you need 10 times more energy from your environment. Now, PEMF builds up energy in the cells. Like I said, it acts like a whole body battery charger that's going to oxygenate your cells, alkalize your cells, improve good circulation, and all kinds of other good stuff. Gets the good stuff into your cells and the bad stuff out. So what's the problem here on the Earth? Well, it's a twofold problem. First of all, we're not getting enough of the good. Okay? Meaning the Earth's magnetic field has, first of all, declined by 50% over the last 300 years. And we actually are we are probably in the process of a pole shift. And this is maybe not right away, but over the next 2,000 years. Most experts predict our magnetic poles are going to switch. And this has happened throughout history. And the other problem is that the average person stays indoors about 90% of the time. So we're just not getting that Earth connection, that connection to the Earth-based frequencies. And on top of all that, we live and work in concrete buildings and skyscrapers, and walk in rubber sole shoes, drive in metal cars with rubber tires. We sleep on beds that are elevated in insulated mattresses. Basically, we're totally blocking out, not totally, but we're partially blocking out the Earth's natural PEMF, and we're just not getting enough. And this can lead to what's called magnetic deficiency syndrome, there's actually a book written by a Japanese author and scientist on this. In fact, fibromyalgia is sometimes called in Japan magnetic deficiency syndrome. Think about that, how widespread fibromyalgia is. Okay, then on top of not getting enough of the good, we're getting too much of the bad. We're just getting bombarded, absolutely bombarded by these unhealthy frequencies. And, most of you are aware that, power lines, computers, cell phones, digital clocks, microwaves, TVs, hair dryers, all these electronic devices cause what's called a submolecular electronic disturbance. And that was a term coined by a former Nobel Prize winner. And this situation is only getting worse. I mean, there's only more and more cell phone towers being put up, more and more electronic devices. So we're not getting enough of the good frequencies of the Earth, and we're getting too much of the bad. And the bad frequencies kind of bleed out, or they kind of distort the clear signal from the Earth. So even if we're walking on the ground barefoot, we might be close to a cell phone tower, and we're just not quite getting that.